garlic scape season. Might be a little bit past it actually. These might be getting somewhat old, but if you grow hardneck garlic specifically, then you will get these ends of the garlic, which usually will come up. They're the flowering ends. They'll come up before you're actually ready to harvest the garlic. The garlic's probably somewhat close to harvest, given the size, the thickness of the stems, or the lack of thickness. I think these garlics will actually end up being relatively small, but when they're ready, no matter what size they actually are. So I'll have to pull these out in the next couple of weeks probably, which is about on schedule for garlic for me. Usually early to mid-July is when they're usually ready for me. Anyway, garlic scapes, edible, and they're kind of a delicacy, and you might see them occasionally at a farmer's market, but you rarely, if ever, see them at a supermarket. So they're kind of another one of those things that are kind of a gardener's special treat. You just get kind of that mild garlicky flavor there. And then to cook these, I would kind of just fry them in a pan with some oil or something and enjoy it. It's a flavor that I enjoy doing, a pan with some oil and some salt. And I'm the only one in my family that actually does enjoy eating them though, so it's kind of just an annual for me to get these. It's kind of like the fava beans that I grow, right? Now those my whole family did eat, but we grow the fava beans and we only do one batch in the spring, and we harvested them a couple weeks ago and ate them, and it's kind of the tradition. And now it's the same thing with the garlic scapes. We harvest the garlic scapes and we'll eat those, and that'll be a single meal probably. Might last a couple meals if I'm the only one eating them. And then that's that. We don't get those again for another year. So yeah, I'm going to be coming along and cutting the scapes off the hardneck garlic. The softneck garlic, which is often that's mostly what you see in the supermarket, the kind of garlic that you typically would braid. I've actually bucked the trend and braided my hardneck garlic too, but typically the kind of softer stems, this is called hardneck because the stem is harder here. The softer stems of a softneck garlic are you just get just the soft stems. You don't get these hard stems, and those soft stems in the garlic, the softneck garlic, don't create this scape at this point in the growing cycle, and so you don't get these scapes off softneck garlic. And like I said, most of the softneck garlic most of the garlic you see in a supermarket, for example, is usually softneck garlic. Although that kind of garlic that they import from China, which is a lot of the garlic that you see in a supermarket, is softneck garlic. And I don't know, I think I've heard that part of that is that softneck garlic saves longer. So, you know, you braid it up and you save it, and it might save 6 months or so. Whereas the hardneck garlic doesn't usually save as long. If you don't use it, it'll probably go bad in like 3 or 4 months or sooner perhaps. So that's the difference there. I try to grow variety, so I usually try to grow a combination of soft-necked and hard-neck, but as I'm looking around, these are definitely, obviously all hard-neck, and I don't see any signs that I have soft-neck in here. I don't know what I did with my soft-neck garlic. I definitely planted some, but maybe I pulled them by mistake thinking they were something else, or they didn't, for whatever reason, they just didn't come to fruition. I'm not sure. Maybe as we're doing this, I'll spot them. We'll take a particular look out for where is the soft-neck garlic. Chopping off the browned ends of these, just so I don't have to remember to go back and do that later in the kitchen. Yeah, as I was mentioning when to harvest my garlic, looking at how these leaves have browned and started to fall over, it's probably kind of ready right now, but I usually harvest the scapes first and then wait a little bit right after that before I harvest the actual garlic. It doesn't have to be too long here. We might be doing a garlic harvest video in the very near term. Yeah, these are These look like they should be ready. What happens if you leave the garlic in the ground too long is that the cloves don't stick together, they start to split out. And you can often, I've left them in the ground too long many times because I've struggled with figuring out my timing on that a lot of the years, and so they're still usable. They just don't save as well when that happens. So the benefit of harvesting your garlic at the right time is being able to save it, being able to have it form the kind of head that you're used to seeing, that's all stuck together and nice and tight and has the paper wrapper around it and can be saved for a bit. But in a small garden like this, if you're not really able to grow that much garlic that will save for too long anyway, then it may not matter. It may be that even if you wait too long and you harvest it and it's kind of starting to come apart a little bit, it wouldn't save for months, but you don't have enough to save for months anyway. You have just enough to kind of use in the next few weeks after harvest, and that's good enough. The other thing you can do with the garlic that maybe is overripe at the time that you harvest it is use that as your seed garlic for next year and pick kind of your best, biggest cloves out of that to be the stuff you want to save. Of course, you know what happens if this garlic comes out soon. That means there's room in these beds to stuff more plants. Haha. There's probably stragglers here and there. Since I plant garlic in and around things, I'm probably missing something somewhere that, like here behind, no one can see. Okay. What'd you find there? Oh, we got one apple, huh? One apple on all of our trees. What are we working on today? We're moving some gravel, huh?
I see something.
What did you see?
I thought this could be strawberries.
Oh yeah, the strawberries wore out on those ones, so those are now flowers. There's one strawberry in there though. Do you know which one's the strawberry? Yeah.
I used to be this one strawberry too.
Yeah, but now it's flowers. The seasons are changing, Boo. Strawberry season's winding down. We're winding into raspberry and blackberry season.
I said this was blackberries. I said, wait, this was strawberries too.
Yeah, but now they're flowers.